Okay, so check this out. This is Frisco's population 1990, only 6,500. Okay? Rob, can you go pull up Frisco's population today?
The fact that they're talking about Frisco is just kind of showing you where that city is at now on the map. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Trevon. I work with Century 21, Mike Bowman, and this is Moving to Texas. Today, we are going to react to a video I actually saw this morning on the PBD Podcast. A super awesome podcast. Definitely a fan. Big fan. Been big fan for a long time. But yeah, they're talking about how BlackRock is the problem. Or the video is titled BlackRock is the Problem and the shocking reason why Gen Z cannot buy a home. So let's hear what he has to say. And then I'm just going to give my little take as a realtor in the DFW Metroplex and kind of maybe give you somewhat of my input on how our market is affected by this information. So yeah, let's get right into it.
New home purchases, mom and dad. I'm going to read both stories, Tom, and then I'll come to you, and then I'll go to you afterwards. So here's stories, okay? Who's buying new home purchases? Mom and dad. Rising housing costs could lead to an increase in parental support for younger home buyers, with 26% of recent buyers using family cash for down payments, up from 23% last year. That's a +3. According to Redfin, parents like Deb Sen say they are giving their kids money each year to help with the down payment, while some, like parents in Minneapolis, are paying cash for the home outright. Damn. More young adults are turning to family for financial assistance, asking for cash instead of traditional wedding or baby gifts. That's actually a good move, by the way. Hey, we're going to give you $10,000, $20,000. Now help me buy the house. I like that. Or moving back home. Census data shows record shares of adults ages 25 to 34 living with parents. And then next story says young adults are holding off on moving out of parents' houses. About 1 in every 3 adult ages 18 to 34 is living with parents right now. And Gen Z struggles with income and prioritizing savings. Over 50% of Gen Z adults report they don't make enough money to live the life they want, per Bank of America data that they have. Victoria Franklin, 27, chose to live with her mother after college, saving 40 to 50% of her income.
You know, you are seeing that. It's definitely going to depend on the price point, of course, and the situation. But you are seeing people get more assistance as far as trying to buy their first home, which isn't a bad thing at all. $500,000 home, depending on your loan structure, 1 to 3%. Now, it is definitely possible to get closing costs paid for depending on the specific home you're looking for and purchasing, and then the seller's goals, basically. But it's definitely possible to negotiate and get your closing costs bought down. There's definitely down payment assistance out there, and to some degree, it's possible for you to get this as a grant. You know, you pay your mortgage for 4 years, 5 years, depending on whatever the loan structure is, and then I believe it is forgiven. But that's just going to depend on where you're at. I'm not a lender, just to clarify. So to a degree, you do need a little bit of money for buying a home. Now, the higher the price point, the more you're going to need as a down payment, but there are still opportunities at lower price points. And I think that's where people have to kind of meet in the middle and be a little more flexible, especially if they're in a city that's prominent, you know, Dallas, Texas, your Austin, Texas, you know, your Phoenix, Arizona's, just places where people are moving to and want to stay and have already kind of have infrastructure built up.
Thoughts on the story here?
Okay, here we go. 2 logical explanations and a punchline. The 2 logical explanations are this. First of all, you know, what we saw happen when you print a bunch of money, you cause asset prices to go crazy. And housing prices have gone crazy just about everywhere. Up, I think national average, we were up about 37%. Places like San Diego and Austin, I think, have pulled back 15-20% off peaks. So there's been some adjustment there, but housing is more expensive than it's ever been.
Yeah, we did peak for a minute. I mean, a lot of the market was up 40-50%, and a lot of it has corrected. I'll be honest with you, right? Like some areas, not as much, but you're definitely seeing pricing down 20 to 25% in some cases.
One, and number 2 is the building over COVID had a pulse, and building is still catching up. As a matter of fact, builder stocks, Toll Brothers, Lanier, Pulte, if you look at the indexes with those, are doing really, really well. Why? Because they're building like mad, but the supply isn't catching up. And once the supply catches up in the right places, prices will come down in those price areas because there's more homes available. So that's the first logical explanation, from the printing of money that increased home prices to
Another spot on fact, you are seeing new construction. They are pushing homes out. I mean, everywhere. Denton, Aubrey, Texas, Prosper, South Fort Worth, areas of Dallas, Arlington. I mean, everywhere, especially out in the east side of 35, I guess, depending on where you're facing, but like Hazlet area, Rome, Texas, these areas, Boyd, Texas, they are building a ton of new construction homes.
If you can pull up the first clip, go to the first chart, not this one, go to this one. Check this out, guys. In 1970, it took you 2.4 years of saving money to buy a house. Today, we're at 7 years.
Whoa.
That's just not cool. So we can sit there and be tough on the younger generation and be like, hey, you know, well, you are not disciplined. You're not this. Like, and I used to do that. I'm like, you're not doing it. I'm like, dude, what the? But when you go back, it only took 2.4.
Yeah, and I do feel sometimes when you get data like this, it is depressing and also factually correct. But it also doesn't paint the full entire picture, right? Like, if you're trying to, for instance, you want to buy a home. If you make $2,500 a month consistently for 2 years, or you and your couple make $2,700 a month consistently for 2 years, you have decent credit, like 630, you know, I think even with lower, you might even be able to get a deal. Call me and we can get you set up with a lender and to talk more details about that. But just for instance, $300,000 house, just for instance, there's cheaper homes, there's lower homes. You can get homes in places that are changing. I'm not saying the unsafe places, but places that are changing for under 250, right? So 300,000 closing costs for that home, depending on the loan structure, if you're not trying to buy down your rate or anything like that, is around 10,000. Let's just give or take. Possibility for you to get down payment assistance. Maybe you save up for that amount, possibly shop for a home where the sellers are going to pay for this. And I'm telling you, in this current market, it is possible. Right now, not every home, sellers may have just bought their home, don't want to lose the equity, or maybe they spent too much money on upgrades, don't want to go upside down on selling the home. But plenty of situations where owners bought the home for under 100,000, under 200,000, they're still going to walk away with 80K net or more in many situations, or it's time for them to transition and they're willing to help someone in your situation, right? Maybe not help someone, but there's just really a lot of opportunity. And I feel that sometimes when you do see stats like this, it doesn't really paint the full picture. Now it's going to take you a lot longer to save for a $700,000 home in Plano or a $550,000 home in Bedford. I get that, right? But for a $250,000 or $300,000 home in Dallas or Fort Worth or South Fort Worth or a little in the outskirts of DFW, it's definitely possible. I'm telling you, it's definitely possible. And then maybe if you don't want to own a home, you want a little smaller space, condos, whole different ballgame. I don't know if I would advise buying a condo. I'm just saying those are much cheaper, right? And that can still put you in a situation for ownership, maybe turn it into a rental or Airbnb through time. Just many opportunities. You just got to open up the mind frame and ask the right questions. Don't ask someone that's like, hey, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. More, what is possible for you to do? What can you do? And then you can kind of decide and then build a game plan around that.
For years now, it's 6. But why is this? So then we just did an episode. If you go to the next chart, watch this one here, which is kind of weird. So not this one, go to the other one right there. Watch this. If you zoom in a little bit to the one up top, Rob, zoom in a little bit for the one up top. You know what? If you can, it's okay. So okay, thank you. So the one up top shows less than 1,400 square feet. It's a starter home. Hey, babe, it's just you and I, 2 bedrooms. Let's get a place. And today, look at that. from 40%, the blue's gone all the way down to 5%. Go to the bottom and watch this here. We used to build 500,000 homes every year, less than 40. These are starter homes, entry-level homes. We're at 55,000. 55,000, guys. And by the way, this isn't just in the last year. Look at it since when? Obama. Oh, wait. And it started declining since when? It went down after Nixon. It went up a little bit under Reagan. It went down again at the tail end of Reagan, stayed flat under Bush and Clinton. Then it went down under Bush slightly, then really declined under Obama. And we've stayed at 5,500, 55,000 a year. By the way, here's what's crazy. During this time, if we go from 70 till today, 1970, I ran some numbers on this. Population was 200 million. We're at 340. So we've increased 140 on 200, which is 70% population's increased, which means this needs to be, instead of 500,000 per year, needs to be 850. But we're at 55. So we're expecting these young kids to go buy a house that a 45-year-old needs to buy that's been in their career for 20 years at 28 years old. Kid is like, dude, what do you expect me to do? I don't have that kind of money. $700,000, I cannot afford it, right? And then you go to the next chart and you look at what BlackRock and these other guys are doing. This is deeply concerning. Watch this. This is what the investors like.
I think another thing that isn't illustrated in this, but I'm sure they're deadly aware. Like I said, I really like the PBD podcast. I got nothing bad to say about what they have to say, but interest rates too are killer. Imagine how much it costs to own a $700,000 home per month at a 7% interest. Give or take, you're paying $6,500 a month. Give or take, and it's probably gonna be more. It's gonna be more than that because electrical bill, 3,000 square foot home, 2,500 square foot home, everything that comes with that, groceries, the cost of living, how many kids do you own, daycare, 10 grand a month just to own that home. And that's scraping by. So yeah, from that perspective, it is quite scary. Even if you are owning a home that's $300,000 at a 7% interest, if you're not buying it down, I'm not a lender, but give or take, you're going to be paying, $2,700 a month just in the mortgage. So yeah, that is daunting and, not really illustrated specifically in this topic, but that's kind of where the trouble hits, right? As interest rates go down, more people will have more money to spend. Therefore, they'll be willing to spend more money on said home. Therefore, seller will wait for said price or more, knowing that more buyers are willing to spend the money. Therefore, driving prices up, more competition. It's not going to be as crazy as it was in the 2020 time, but as supply and demand are still kind of battling with each other, especially in these dense areas, you will find competition when interest rates do go down and higher prices.
BlackRock and others used to invest in homes, all these other things. And the orange is low price homes they would buy. Green is mid price. Blue is high price. Look at the one they're buying. They don't care about mid price. They don't care about high price. They're buying low price. And now one out of every 4 low price homes is owned by an investor like BlackRock. You think they're buying it because they want to flip?
No.
They're not trying to flip. They're trying to say, we're in a rental season, guys. Forget about buying a house. Just come and rent from us. We're going to keep this long term. And by the way, here's what's crazy. Do you know in many cases what they're paying for these properties? So imagine this. You're buying your house. It's on the market for what's going on with the other 98%?
We have a lot of land.
18% live in our audience. They want to, I used to be a regular guy. My dad's a 99-cent store cashier. Do you know what percentage of America is developed? Like urban, like people living there? 82% of Americans live in 2% of land. 82% in 2%. Which means what?
It means we have a lot of land. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the narrative is on the outskirts and the outside, a lot of this macro data is all the United States or, some of the largest cities, populated data, all jumbled together. But as far as the DFW Metroplex, we got a lot of land, a lot of space, and they're moving outward. You're already seeing where the growth is headed. And it's not going to slow down because there's not much space where the dense areas are. You know what I mean? Like your Bedfords, your Grapevines, your Dallases, Arlingtons. Not a lot of land. So when they are putting new stuff, it's very expensive. A lot of the more affordable things they're putting outwards. But that's kind of where I don't think we're in a bad situation necessarily where we live, because they're only going to continue to build outwardly, and they're going to build consistently.
How often are we on a flight and you look down, you're like, damn, bro, there's so much
real estate.
What is this small little town, right?
Yeah.
How often do we do that, right? Watch this. Tom and I are playing poker in Arizona or Nashville. I actually don't remember where we were at. We were at this Inc. 5000 conference.
Oh, it was Phoenix.
Phoenix. We're at Phoenix
With Mayor
having
Mayor.
a great time with Mayor Masso from Frisco. It was a 3-term mayor of Frisco. And he starts talking about Frisco. I'm like,
Texas?
yeah. I said, Tom, what is Frisco? Rob, can you pull up Frisco's population in 1990? Okay,
You know, this
Frisco's
is where I'm from. I
Are you
watched
really?
this happen.
So watch
I'm not
this.
from Frisco, but 30 minutes away.
Okay, so check this out. This is Frisco's population 1990, only 6,500. Okay, Rob, can you go pull up Frisco's population today? Go type in Frisco's. No, that's not it. Go Frisco. Okay, if you go 2024, go to 2024. Frisco's population 2024. Look at this. 234,000 people today.
Home of the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars, Texas Rangers minor league
PGA.
team, FC Dallas, PGA.
Jamba Juice, all these other guys, right? Okay.
Or they're within shouting distance of their own U.S. representative.
Yeah, and this is what made me make the video. The fact that they're talking about Frisco is just kind of showing you where that city is at now on the map. And it is not the quiet city it used to be back when I lived here and grew up here. I mean, just like they're saying, it was dead. And now it is thriving. Oh my goodness, it's crazy to see. And you're going to see that across the board, right? Some of these schools, like Frisco, in the top 10 ISDs in Texas, out of 1,000, about 1,000 schools. And many of the cities around this area are also within that same parameter. So a very, very, very sought after area, and the price per square foot is up there.
Guys, how the hell did this happen?
When I grew up, Pat, a Dairy Queen and a brothel. That's it. That's it.
Great city, fantastic, right? First you go one place, and you go get to Dairy
Get
Queen.
laid, grab a Sunday.
Yeah,
Worked at both.
But worked at both. But you know what the point is? Here's the moral of the story. If somebody from the Trump administration is watching this, let's just say, and you say, okay, what do we do with this? California. Everybody used to live in LA. I can't afford to buy a house in LA. By the way, in 1990, the average house in Frisco was $58,000. You know what the average house right now is in Frisco? $699. From 58 to 6. How many people you think can buy a house in Frisco today? Okay.
What I like about what he said is that's not a long time frame, not too much of a long time frame, right? So you're going to find, now doesn't mean the seller wants to bend, but if the home's on the market 90 plus days, which you're seeing more that are sitting that long, even 68, 70 plus days, homes vacant, they're paying on an empty house. It could be a situation where, depending on what they bought it for, how much equity they're going to walk away with, it could be advantageous for you. Can't go into too much detail, but if you have questions about a specific area or want me to run numbers, shoot me a text or give me a call.
$699,000, $672,000 last. Okay, $672 today. $672,000. It used to be $58,000. Moral of the story, Tom. When people couldn't afford to live in LA, where did they move to? The Valley.
Or
North
a
of-
little bit north of that, Valencia. Or they would
Valencia,
go, or if
Canyon
you lived in
Country,
Orange County,
Orange
you went
County.
out towards San.
And that is exactly what you're going to see in the areas like Southlake, Colleyville. I mean, even Keller to a point now. Frisco, McKinney. What's going to happen is the people who cannot afford to live in there, they're going to try to live close by if they can. Those areas will become more expensive, and it just cascades. And then eventually it's the whole entire area. This is why you're seeing such I think, a big price increase in the more dense areas in the DFW Metroplex. It makes sense, supply and demand. And this is also where I kind of state that prices will continue to rise because the areas are sought after. There's limited space. So anything that is advantageous as far as opportunity gets swept up quickly.
Bernardino.
That's right.
But you go
Riverside.
This
Where's
is Orange
Covina?
County, by the way.
I know.
What you're looking at Frisco.
Well, now it is.
Plano.
Or you went toward Thousand Oaks before Amgen caused the prices to go up, but
Now
you
they're-
went out. You
now
went
they're
out.
looking at Prosper.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say it. Prosper, Salina. I mean, they're building out there, and they're building nice homes, big homes. Okay, same thing when it's like these outer areas southward, Aledo. They're building massive communities. So they're already starting to do it, right, and put other areas on the map where areas are already dense and developed. So you're seeing it, it's happening, it's going outward, and it's exciting, especially for someone like me in the real estate industry, but it can be daunting for someone who would like areas to slow down when they most likely will not.
Now they're looking at other
I used
places.
to own the newspaper in Prosper.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's where Deion Sanders'
Of
house
course.
is that he put him. Yeah.
Now it's behind a supermarket.
So I think a part of this, I'm of the kind that I don't even want to allow the younger generation to have an excuse because I never wanted it. Like we grew up with nothing, we still figured out a way to make it work. The right people got to figure out a way to make it work, but it's also our job to make the country a better place for the next generation. I think we got to take that 55,000 starter homes we're building to 1 million for a few years because our home shortage right now used to be 2.3 million. We're at 7 to 8 million. What are we talking about? There's plenty of land. Some investors need to sit there and say, guys, 1,400 square feet, starter home, $180,000. Come over here, 2.4 years to save your money. Put a down payment. Get in here, you and your wife. Let's grow the city. Let's create some jobs. Maybe drive 30 minutes to your job. Maybe drive 40 minutes to your job. We'll bring more businesses. When we do, you'll get the job here in town. And then we'll develop cell division. I don't know. If I was a governor, or if I was a president, or if I had a job like that, this would be a very, very interesting direction to go because the younger generation will love you forever.
Yeah, I totally agree with what he has to say. And that's kind of the gist overall, right? There is opportunity out there in the market. You just have to ask the right questions. It is not as difficult as it seems to buy a home. I think the main thing, if you are stuck and really want to know, is just talk to a lender. Give them the numbers, give them the information, and you'll have an idea of where you're at, how far you have to wait, or the steps you need to take to be able to buy a home. And that's why you're seeing places like Prosper, Salina, Aledo, these outer areas really ramping up because the value, depending on what you want in your value, right? For instance, Frisco, a 3,000 square foot home is probably going to cost you $850 and up. Now, $850 in Prosper and Salina might get you same square footage, much bigger lot. So that's just the difference, right? What kind of lifestyle you want. But these are the questions to ask and things to look for when you're shopping around. But hey, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. If you're feeling the vibe, subscribe. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But I appreciate you guys, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, later.